Hi.
No,
Hello. How are you? How have you been?
not too bad, not too bad. Almost there.
Almost there. Almost there. I think could you change that to something like I've been good. I've been
I could.
almost good, a little bit good, or fantastic. I don't know which level. Because when you
Mm,
say not too bad, the not is like disappears and it's like too
mm,
bad.
mm.
Bad.
I know, I know. Once I'm over this work audit, then I'll just be like, I feel good.
Okay,
Yeah,
great. All
yes,
right.
but
Oh.
no, it has been good. I went to a concert yesterday.
Ooh, what kind of concert?
Uh, so I'm gonna say her name incorrectly. Shreya Ghosal. She's an Indian singer. So she came to Bella Vista yesterday. So I went with my whole family. She's a wonderful singer. And it was a great show, actually. She did a really good job. She sang for a really long time. So I was very impressed.
Oh,
Yeah.
and what was great about it? The show.
She has a beautiful voice, and she's been singing since in the industry in Bollywood,
Yeah.
because they have playback singers. Because Bollywood movies work that somebody else sings and the actor and actresses mime the fact that
Oh,
they're singing. It's like a whole thing.
okay.
So all of these songs that I've grown up listening to, she's been singing because she's been singing for so long.
Mm.
So it was a combination of nostalgia and the fact that she has a really nice voice, and she is a good performer and stuff like that. So
Mm.
lovely.
Lovely. So that's why you look a bit worse for wear this morning.
Yes, probably should have put some makeup on this morning, but to be honest, I woke up just in time. So
Oh, there you go. There you go. Sorry, I don't have any makeup on today either.
yeah.
So what else have you been doing, or is that the summation of your week?
Yeah, I think so. That and work, to be honest.
Mm. Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. A lot of work things as well.
yes.
Mm.
And what about you? What have you been up to?
Well, it's been a very emotional week actually. I've had unfortunately a friend passed away. It was very, very, very tragic suddenly. A friend that I used to work with. So,
Mm,
and I got the news on Tuesday.
mm,
So I was really not shocked, it was a bit shocking, a lot shocking. I hadn't seen her in a while because you've got friends that you meet at work that you're friends with, but you don't see that often.
yeah.
And we hadn't seen each other for maybe a year, I think.
Mm,
And so I was like really sad, thinking
mm,
that I wish I'd have seen her more and
mm.
just reflecting on the amazing woman she was. She was just
Yeah.
this incredible, kind soul, and she gave the best hugs. And I like a good hug.
You do like a
I like
good
a good hug.
hug.
She gave the best hugs. She
Mm.
really did. And I always used to say that to her actually. When we greet each other, we give each other a hug. I mean, it would be an extra long one, which probably make you
Yes.
really uncomfortable. It'd be an extra long
Probably.
one because she gives good hugs. I had to say, you give great hugs. She goes, yeah,
Mm.
you too. So yeah, it's very, very, it's a tragedy. I miss her, and yeah, it's very sad. So a few of us who would regularly catch up with her,
Mm.
who used to work together, we're going to meet next weekend and yeah,
Mm.
celebrate her memory.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's a nice thing to do, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very sudden, wasn't it? She's
Mm.
very young.
Yeah,
So
she's only 52.
yeah, that's super young.
So and it just like puts everything into perspective, and it's a awful reminder that life is just too short.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm,
Mm.
you have to, you know, we're all gonna die.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no denying that we're all gonna die, and what's important is what we do before we do.
Mhm. Yes. Not to sweat the little stuff.
Yeah, do we do before we do? But today's exciting
Mm-hmm.
because we have our first guest speaker.
Yes.
So you're like, So excited.
It is very exciting.
It's very exciting.
We've been talking about this happening, but I did not think it would actually happen this quickly. But yeah,
it's about happening. It's happening. So our guest speaker is Sinead McDevitt, and I've known Sinead for a while, if like through friends.
Yep.
And how do you say your name, Meenal?
Oh yes. So this is the thing, right? So you sent me the name, and I always confuse this name because it's not said how it's spelt. So I always go Sinead, but it's not. And I'm just like terrified that I'm gonna say that, you know.
Sinead. That is not her name.
Yes, it is a Sinead. Yes.
Sinead. Sinead. But that is, to be fair, with the Irish names, that is quite common.
Yes. Like Saoirse.
I don't know what you're saying.
Sorry. Never mind. I'm pretty sure she's Irish, but anyway, she's a movie star. But yes, I don't know how to say her name either. But anyway, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why you'll be doing her introduction.
Yeah. We met through friends. She used to live with an old housemate of mine.
Yes.
And so I met whilst I visited her place. I met her then. And then also coincidentally, it's just a small world, right? You know, our friend Jo.
Yes.
Journalist Jo, because we've got a few Joes. She met her at an event because I guess they were both documentary makers. So she met her at an event, and so Jo was telling me all about Sinead when she met her, because Sinead had this idea for this documentary that she thought I would be interested in. And so Jo was telling me all about it, but that was years and years and years, well, not years, maybe 2 years before I coincidentally met Sinead through Heidi. So interesting. But yeah, she eventually got to do a documentary called The Love Experiment. And I was asked to join the cast. And I have my 30 seconds of fame. 30 seconds of fame in the intro to the show, which was became a pilot. There was a pilot episode on Channel 10. We don't know if that's going to get more episodes or not. So we'll see.
Because I'd like to see your 15 minutes of fame.
More like 5. But yeah, it was really cool though. It was such a cool and fun project. It was so awesome. And oh, it looks like she's here. So I can introduce her. Oh, it's so exciting. I'm really excited. Compose myself. Okay. Yes. Calm down. All right. So it's my pleasure to introduce Sinead McDevitt, who is a Dublin-born filmmaker based on Gadigal country with an award-winning background in design. She writes and directs commercials, documentaries, short films, and music videos. And in recent years, she also created the first original film program for TED in the US. She won silver in competition at the annual MIP Formats event in Cannes, France, for a new cinematic documentary series on the power of vulnerability called The Love Experiment, and has hosted live on stage at the Sydney Opera House Without Dying, which she considers a massive life goal achieved. And filmmaking for Sinead is a form of alchemy, part self-therapy and part attempt to make us feel less alone, more connected to each other than before. Welcome!
Hi! Can you guys hear me okay?
Perfectly.
Oh, fantastic.
Fantastic.
Lovely to meet you.
Lovely. This is Meenal. Sinead.
Hi, Meenal.
Lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too.
Yeah, we're very excited.
Thanks a million for having me. I think your podcast sounds amazing.
Thank you.
Oh.
And haven't you got a great background? I love it when people come onto Zoom and they're surrounded by books.
Yes.
It's just like,
Complete with banjo hanging there on the side.
yeah, banjo. That's a lot more. I've never seen a banjo. I have to say, I've never seen a banjo before in a background.
Throw it in there. I mean, I'd like to say it was me who played that, but
Not.
the partner. Yeah.
So thanks for joining us, Sinead.
My pleasure.
Oh, we were actually I was just talking about you with Meenal,
Yes.
and Meenal's having problems saying your name.
Classic.
She's not good. It's classic, right, with Irish names. She reads them and she goes, I know it's not pronounced how it looks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, excuse me. But yes, I will endeavour to make sure I don't make my mistake again.
Meenal, I'll be highly offended. I'm just going to put you on the spot now and say, have a go.
Go on, have a go. Have a go.
It's hilarious. Enjoy this.
Because I think of it kind of like Sinead or yeah, it's
Yeah, that'll do.
yeah.
My answer to having around that. I always say Sinead O'Connor. But
Yeah.
what are the youngest ones? Gen 0 or something or whatever they are.
Well, Meenal must be
Whatever
a
they
Gen 0 because I said Sinead O'Connor and she's like, I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, it's John Howard. The new documentary coming out on her life, by the way, which looks incredible.
Oh, wow. I have to see that. Definitely when it comes out. So what did you think of the questions we sent you?
God, I thought they were good. And some of them were hard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Some of them were hard. I was like, damn you, Tracy. I feel like you're getting your back on me for asking me these really difficult questions.
Yes. You know, those
put
questions.
You in the hot seat.
You did.
Yeah.
You totally put me in the hot seat. But I won't talk to. I did already mention the love experiment, and I remember the toughest. The one is really strange, but the questions I remember, well, the ones that were, I guess, more emotional, but also like, for example, you know, so the worst thing that's ever happened to you. That was one I remember.
Yeah.
And the ones about, there was a few about death, but I just thought that was strange. There was like maybe, I'm sure there was at least 2 death questions in there.
Yeah, there were. I think I'm a little bit obsessed with death, so I was delighted that they were in there. Yeah, let's talk about death.
Let's talk about death. But yeah, you know, I mean, I guess the point of those questions are, well, what I got out of those death questions specifically was that, you know, life is short.
Yeah, true. And look, it's not the first thing you'd be talking about with someone you've just met.
I hope
but
not.
everyone has a feeling about it, don't they? Like people are either allergic to the idea, terrified, at peace. I think it's fascinating. Anyway, that's a whole other podcast, right?
That is a whole other podcast. So we've got some questions that we sent to you. Thank you very much for having a look at those.
Pleasure.
So I'm going to lead with the first question, which we sent to you. Is when did you know you were gay?
Oh yeah. Gosh, I'm going note free here, which is like I usually over prepare for things, but I did read through them and I had a good thing. So here I go without notes. That the answer to that question would be after an episode of Home and Away.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
So, right. Growing up in Dublin, growing up in the UK yourself, Tracy.
Yeah.
A lot of people are obsessed with Home and Away. So I'd watch it religiously along with all my friends. And there was a storyline developing over bloody ages about Shannon, played by Isla Fisher, and her English teacher, Mandy. Do you remember her, the Grinds teacher?
I don't know, maybe, but I do remember obviously Isla Fisher being Home and Away.
Yeah. But there was this tension building up between the two characters. And I was just like, is this a gay storyline? So I didn't know anybody else gay at the time because I was, still in school. But yeah, it built and built and built. And then one day, Mandy and Shannon kissed in Mandy's caravan, which looking back is like a super creepy storyline and highly inappropriate.
Yeah, teacher, right?
Yeah. Like, But probably responsible for making a lot of people come out, because certainly when I saw that, all of these feelings that I'd been struggling with just kind of rose to the surface. And I remember running dramatically up to my bedroom and throwing myself on my bed and bursting out crying. And my mother ran up to me, you know, and was like, "Oh, what is it, love? Are you hurt?" Because she was in the kitchen. She didn't see any of this happening because I used to play these episodes at low volume, you know, so that nobody would even guess. And I said, no, is it a boy? No, you know, did somebody say something mean to you? No. And then she was like, "Isn't your sexuality?" She couldn't, you know, saying the word sex.
She couldn't say the word sexual.
Sexual.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. I mean, she just had to look around my room. There was a cardboard cutout of Sheryl Crow in the corner. There was a life size. There was like my walls are plastered with the Alanis Morissette and Jewel and so on. So it was pretty obvious, you know. So she probably had guessed. So yeah, that's my coming out story.
Oh wow. And how appropriate that it was home and away and you live in Australia now.
Oh, I know, absolutely. I stalked Mandy for Rachael Blake, trying to find out where she was now. Because a friend heard the story before and he just thought it was hilarious, and he had worked with her. He's like, "I could get you guys to meet up, I feel like." I was like, "Oh my god, maybe, yeah."
But I was actually going to say, who was the crush then? Was it Isla Fisher or Rachael Blake?
Which one was the who?
The crush.
Oh, the crush. Well, Shannon, played by Isla Fisher, was the student, and then Mandy was my crush.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
definitely the teacher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. Oh, is that a bit wrong?
No, that's all. No, that's all. Not at all. That's really
Rachel,
good.
If you're out there, if Rachel is listening to this, thank you.
I'm gonna have to Google after this to see, because I can't remember who she is. But I will. Okay, what's the next question? Oh yeah, what inspired you to become a director of TV and film?
Pretty much getting dumped.
Oh.
Yeah. God love her. She's probably heard this story so many times. But I had a life as a graphic designer, very happy life as a graphic designer, happily engaged to my ex-partner and so on. And life was looking very comfortable and predictable. And then one day, she basically ran off with the captain of the roller derby team, which is a very classic gay plot twist. And will definitely be made. Oh no, it's already been made into the movie, don't worry.
Okay. So watch it.
Yeah, so like, look, I was knocked for six. I didn't know my arse from my elbow, and like, in all seriousness, I was kind of thrown into this kind of level of grief I'd never dealt with before. I didn't know how to overcome it. We'd been together a long time, and so my friends dragged me off to a weekend in the Blue Mountains to recover, to help heal and fresh air and so on. And I had this weird kind of synchronistic conversation with a woman there at the stables where we rented the horses, that she shared a story about how her daughter overcame sudden grief and turned it into something beautiful. And I was kind of like, whoa, kind of jolted out of my my fog of grief for a moment. And as I walked back to the car where my friends were waiting, I started hearing this voice in my head saying the word alchemy. Just kind of came out of nowhere, like alchemy, this idea of, you know, turning, you know, the old medieval pseudoscience of turning lead into gold. But this idea of alchemy, you know, do alchemy with it. And I was like, what? What? This is super shit. How could I do alchemy with this? Like, no, do alchemy with it. And started having a conversation with this voice, and I was just like, you mean like a book or something? Not a bit cheesy. It's only been a few days. No, not a book. Is it a magazine? No. It's a film, you storytelling. And I was like, oh fuck that. Am I allowed curse? Am I allowed curse in this podcast? Are you gonna bleep me out?
Yeah, I know. Keep going. Go for it.
I was like, fuck that. Like, I'm a designer. I'd never made a film before. You know, I'm not gonna do that. But it was a very persistent feeling. Before you called the people in white coats, it wasn't a voice that was booming at me night and day, but it was a very deep feeling. And so I struggled, no, go away. And eventually it had its way. And so I went back to after study film, and that was just, wow, I made my first film about a guy who lost his left testicle, which really helped me through my grief, believe it or not.
Okay, interesting choice.
Yeah, well, I was looking around. This voice had told me to use this experience as alchemy. And so I just thought, I just need to make a film about someone who's lost something very precious to them and who found a way to not only survive through it or recover, but to actually turn it into something better than before. So I researched and was given this book called Lessons from My Left Testicle, which is a great read, by the way, if anyone wants to read.
That's a great title.
Yeah. So by the end of it, look, here's a gay woman who became an expert in testicles. Who would have guessed? Yeah, there you go. So any questions you have?
Not many women can say that. Never mind the gay women.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
That's very cool. Lessons from My Left Testicle. I think that's such a catchy title.
That's his book. Yeah, the title of his book. Yeah.
Okay.
We will name this podcast at some point.
Oh yeah, we have to give a name to this podcast. Maybe we'll call it Lessons from My Left Testicle as well. Okay. Now, the whole premise of this podcast is about highlighting situations with bias and discrimination, and to kind of address how it's handled, and also to highlight that it still happens, and maybe highlight situations where someone might think, well, I don't understand how that's a biased behavior or attitude. And so this is probably a question we'd ask all our guests, is can you describe a situation where you've been subjected to bias or discriminatory attitudes?
Yeah, I mean, with the gay thing, for sure, that happened a lot after I first came out. I mean, I think gay women are sexualized quite a lot. I think less now. It's so wonderful what's happening with LGBTQ, the LGBTQ movement, and younger people becoming comfortable in their queerness and so on. But like back when I came out, like if you were gay, especially, where I grew up and so on, it was tough. So you'd be sexualized, you'd have men kind of approaching you and your girlfriend in the street asking you home and that kind of stuff. And you're like, we're not here for your pleasure. And it happened in Sydney as well. It's gas.
Really?
Yeah, I remember I was waiting at the traffic lights of Broadway Shopping Centre here in Sydney, and this guy just came up to me and my partner at the time and said, you girls free to come back with me? And you're just like, we're just holding hands, So I was also fired from a job for being gay once in America. One of my J1 summers, they discovered I was gay and then fired me for being alternative. I didn't know you were alternative was the word. So, but that feels like a long time ago now. I think in terms of working as a director who happens to be female, I rarely think about that myself. I just get on with the work. But you can't deny that, unconscious bias is a real thing. With regard to, whether that's gender identity, sexuality, cultural background, age, and so on. It's there. And we actually all have it. Like I learned that I have it. It's not that I think we go, oh, all men have it towards women. I think we actually all have it. So I think the key is being aware of it. But anyway, yeah, I guess I had one experience a few years ago where I had a cinematographer working with me, a guy, and you discuss how you frame up a shot. It's going to be wide or close up, and it's going to be, front on or from the side or an angle. And so we discussed that, and we're really clear on how to frame up the shot. And it left him be while I went on and did some other work and came back, and he just framed up the shot like wildly different to how I briefed it in. And I was like, oh, that's odd. I was like, oh no, that's actually, no, the framing needs to be like this. And he's like, well, I just did it the way I felt was best. And I was like, this is a first. Okay. Yeah. So
and you're the director, right?
Sorry. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I was directing. So the talent is sitting right in front of us. And it was just like, what does one do in these scenarios? Because you want to make them feel safe and at ease and not uncomfortable. It's really important, right? So I just said, that's not the way I wanted it. Can you reframe? Let's go. And he just said, ooh, bossy. And I was just like, my blood started to boil. And I was just like, the meditation you do, you're like, create the gap, don't react. And I just keep real calm. And I said, reframe the shot, dude, you've got 5 minutes. And I walked off kind of thing again to do the work. And he did it. That was fine. And we got on with it. But later on, I had a chat with a mentor of mine, and I said, have you ever encountered this? I mean, we all know affective bias exists and all that kind of stuff, but it's not usually that bad, surely. And she's like, oh yeah, I've had that quite a bit. I said, what do you do? You know, and she goes, just never hire them again. It's that
Okay.
simple. You know, the filmmaking is so high pressure come shoot day. Everything's building up to shoot day. You can't afford to have people with those kind of attitudes on set because it just creates unnecessary stress. Whatever kind of attitude that is, you know. But that was I was glad to hear that from her. That was very affirming because, of course, you think of a million, you know, snappy one-liners you wish you could have said.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that was actually
Yeah.
going to be my question. Were you happy with how you handled it?
Oh, kind of. I mean, yeah, thinking about it now, I guess I did the best I could in the moment because I hadn't encountered this. And certainly as a designer, I hadn't encountered this as well either. Given that the talent was there, I did the best I could. And yeah, I think it was okay. But I wish someone could publish like a list of one-liners to use in the moment.
Yeah, I know, because I've had that as well. I can't think of, I've felt it a few times where I've just been caught off guard, like surprised.
Yeah.
And then I guess it's like that whole amygdala response, and you can't actually, some people are really good at it, but I don't know if it's because they've experienced it before and they thought about it and now they've got a really good comeback. But I'm almost like paralyzed, like frozen with how to handle that, whilst probably simultaneously feeling angry. And about how dare they, blah, 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 but thinking that's not, knowing and that's not how I want to react. That's not what I want to put out back to that person, but just not knowing what to do. And I've been in that situation a few times as well.
Yeah, have you? Yeah.
Yeah, so
it's hard to know, right?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people use humor. I think I use humor quite a bit.
Yeah.
Just laugh it off, hopefully, and hopefully they realize the idiocy or the ridiculousness of the comment. So it doesn't really always work though. But,
no, well, my go-to is usually sarcasm, but that's not really.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what do you use? Okay, we must have a separate chat about that. I'd love to hear.
Like sarcasm. It's like,
yeah.
Honestly. Okay, let's have a look. What have I got? Oh yeah. So how can I ask, how long have you been directing now?
2002. So probably like about 7 years now. I mean, like my first film went out there into the big bad world, like properly 2015. And just all kind of happened very quickly after that.
And do you love what you do?
Oh my God, I love it so much. I love it so much. I feel really in my body and I feel really in the flow when whether it's writing a script or coming up with the concept or just being on set. I love collaborating with people. I think and I feel like I'm really helping as well. I struggled with that for a while as a designer. Didn't really feel like I was helping as much as I'd like to. So it feels, thanks for asking that question, actually. That makes me feel all fuzzy and warm.
Oh, good. Good. And so what beliefs do you have that have led you to where you are today?
Oh, Tracy, this was a really hard question. Damn you. It's like cuts to the heart of things, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Look, I was thinking about this, right? Because for me, beliefs are things I hold to be true, right?
Yeah.
And I think for most people, they'd be dynamic, right? They're never static. They can ebb and flow, change and so on. And led me to where I am today. God, it sounds like I'm about to win an Oscar or something. But I had to think about it, and I thought, well, there's definitely been beliefs that have sabotaged me.
Yeah.
And like take me way off track. And those that I've had for as long as I can remember. So I'll give you two examples of the sabotage one. I think in terms of where I am today, relationships are very important to me, whether that's, romantic, platonic, professional. But in terms of the romantic sense, I realized a number of years ago that an unconscious belief I'd had for like a large part of my adult life that I wasn't worthy actually of deep intimacy, like of the real thing. Do you know where that comes from is a whole other
podcast.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And would have been brought up and stuff a lot in therapy over the years. Got an incredible therapist. But anyway, so I did struggle a lot with that. And I think I had experiences that affirmed that belief. And so after taking a good pause and doing a lot of work on myself and so on, I've just really rewired that belief. And and happened to meet someone incredible and so loving, so kind, so emotionally mature. So I'm very proud of that in a way, having done that work. And yeah, she's just the best thing ever. So that's one of the first examples of belief. Second example of belief would be related to work. I think when I first moved from design into film, I was simultaneously so excited about this move, but I was unexpectedly hit with a pretty big bout of imposter syndrome. I was just like, you know, this voice, different to the alchemy voice,
another voice. Yeah,
another very, very kind of seductive, kind of cool, like just background voice would come in every now and then and go, look at how far other people have come at your stage. You know, why are you doing this? You know, you could be so far in design and so on if you hadn't moved. And I was really battling with this, even though all the outer signs, like all the opportunities and work I was doing, would tell a very different story. And a line from Brené Brown changed things for me. And that was, she said, I'm going to paraphrase and I'm going to get it wrong, but she said in an interview, always keep your shadow out in front of you, because will only take you down from behind. In other words, keep those keep that voice of negativity, of darkness and so on, of lack of worthiness, not enoughness clear. Don't deny it, just keep it out in front so that you can kind of tackle it head on. And once I heard that and realized that, then I, similar to the first belief, I had to work really hard, and I still work. A lot of directors and so on still work to rewire that belief. To the point where I am today.
To the point where you are today.
Yeah, but that consciously seeing those unconscious beliefs was a big changer for me. Yeah.
Okay. And what did you transfer? So these are like self-sabotaging, limiting beliefs.
Yes.
So what did you transform them to?
Well, the first one example was to feeling like I am actually worthy of a deep intimacy and authentic love. You know, like, which you think, of course. You know, if you had a child, you look at the child and, you know, such a beautiful baby child, you know, you can see as the mother, as the parent, as the father, whatever, they are deserving of love. But all these experiences you have by the time you get to an adult, that's not necessarily the case. If you're that child,
that's not how you feel. Yeah.
So change that to you know, but sometimes I still look at my partner and go, oh God, really? Do I deserve you? You know, and I have to catch myself. So I think it's a lifelong thing. And then the work-wise, again, just a sense, a sense of I deserve to be here. I've worked really hard to get here. But the beliefs you asked, I just wanted to mention the other beliefs that have been with me like all along that have never. They're on the good angel side.
Yeah, it's like a dark angel and a good angel.
I've had, it was a really great question. So I kind of identified three with your question. It was like, number one, I don't think we get second chances, actually. I think we get an infinite number of chances. So I think if we lose something, miss an opportunity, fuck up, whatever it is, the boat always comes back around. In my experience, that's the case. That's always been at me really strongly. The second one is, I think we look to other people and we call them geniuses, but I actually don't believe that someone is a genius. I think someone has access to genius. And I think we all have access to this quality called genius. And I think whatever the problem is we want to solve, we just have to plug in and pull down from this collective unconscious or whatever you want to call it. I really do believe that. And the third one would be like, I've always felt loved by something bigger than me. I've struggled with believing that I could be loved unconditionally by a human, but that'd be my spiritual self. Now, I'm not religious, I'm not atheist either, I'm not even new age. I just feel that it's always been there with me. So that has really kind of propelled me forward when all these other voices chime in with the other stuff. I kind of lean, I mean, you know, I say that now, but of course you forget about that stuff sometimes, but I do lean into that and I plug in to fuel up and top up a lot. And I'm very grateful for that. I don't know, again, where essentially it comes from, but I've always had this feeling of being loved. Yeah.
Wow. That's beautiful, actually. I just think to have that, that sense of knowing and not knowing where it comes from, but just knowing it's there, and to have that, to live with that, I think is such a beautiful thing. Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, no worries. A lot of people would think that's a load of hogwash, and I don't have a problem with that. That's fine.
No,
Yeah,
well,
but,
I mean, I don't, because I feel like
hmm,
people, I feel like you need to believe something,
yeah,
whether it's religious or not, it doesn't matter. I've to otherwise, what's the alternative?
mm,
And that's how I see it. So if you believe that, I think that only I can only help you in your life. I can only
yeah,
help you move forward and help you be happy and find happiness and overcome those, you know, the darker things that we hear or tell ourselves. I think that
yeah,
that's you need that.
potentially.
It's like having someone that's always on your side, no matter
Yeah,
what.
true, actually. That's a nice way of putting it. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I used to build these invisible teams for myself, depending on the project.
All right.
I used to call in, like, I used to write a list, I used to make a contract, and like I'd make a list of people living and dead who I thought would be great fits if I had a squad team to make the
Oh yeah,
project happen.
yeah.
I haven't done that in a while, actually, because I just kind of, I feel like magic happens when you just connect to that kind of source, whatever you want to call it. But that was fun. Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. I used to do like like it's like the same similar fantasy football team, but nothing to do
Oh
with
yeah.
football. I used to say,
Yeah.
right, if I was going to have this amazing, incredible uh social business, like who would I want?
Hmm.
And I'd be picking people I knew who I
Oh
thought
yeah.
were really amazing people, had amazing talent, who I would like, yeah, I'd have you, I'd have you. We would create an incredible things. And I used to do that a fantasy in my head all the time. That's quite
I love
funny.
that idea. Fantasy football.
A bit like fantasy football team.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. The last question I wanted to ask you is about your next project.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Hmm.
Those 10, we have to keep those top secret because they are
Oh.
very delicate stages in development as Government's
Oh.
film. But I'll give you an example of one was one on neurodiversity in women, which is a topic very close to my heart. That's all I can say. But it's lovely. It's Jeremy, it's lovely. But it is again, I'm just casting my mind back to that feeling of when you're, developing a concept that
Mm.
really aligns with your values, who you are, what you want to say, and how you want to help in the world. There's no better feeling. And then to work with a
Yeah.
team to bring that to life. Oh my God.
Absolutely. Okay. So if you
Yeah.
can't tell us, could you tell us what you mean by neurodiversity or not?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How do we define neurodiversity? Oh gosh, Sinead consults an invisible dictionary. Hang on, I'll just ask my invisible team. There's no one started on the clock. Neurodiversity as being different to neurotypical. So, according to the stats, the vast majority of us are neurotypical in that our brains are wired in a certain way, to that mean we operate in this world, in the system that we've built in a way that is, oh God, I hate using words like this, but is maybe a bit easier than if one is neurodiverse. Neurodiversity covers kind of a broad range of identities and conditions such as autism, ADHD, and so on. And I'm not a scientist or clinical psychologist, but my understanding is that the brain wiring is different. We do know, for example, with autistic children, the spinal cord, they're born with a spinal cord, where the nervous system is, she says in a very sciencey way, that's different to others. So, my partner, for example, is neurodiverse, and so she would be highly sensitive. She would feel all the feelings, see all the lights, the sound, hear all the sounds. She'd soak up, pretty much a million times more than a neurotypical would. And if you're not careful, that can fill you up very quickly and overflow, resulting in a thing called autistic overwhelm. And I don't think we understand enough about neurodiversity and autism in women, particularly because all the research has been done on men and boys. And so, yeah, when we see, do you know much about stimming?
No.
Okay, so what I'm doing now with my body, rocking, or like tapping my head, or like shaking my hand. It's called stimming. It's called this is a stim. And it's short for self-stimulation. And what it does is it helps regulate the nervous system if an autistic person is feeling overwhelmed. Now, in our society, a lot of people judge that as bad, crazy, hysterical, wrong, must be stopped. But actually, when it's safe, it's a lifesaver for the autistic person. So we have to stop judging, and we have to stop labeling autistic people as crazy when they're stimming, when they're doing a very smart thing.
Yeah, they're managing their overwhelm.
Yeah.
And you just reminded me of a child in class when I was very, very young. I think I was about 8. And I imagine it wasn't understood then, because I remember this boy, that's what he would do. And there actually wasn't just him, there was other children, but not many, that would be rocking and doing things like that quite a bit and getting in trouble for fidgeting. You just reminded me. Obviously, I had no idea what that was about, but clearly the teachers didn't either. So I think it's a really, really important. I mean, they probably do now. I have no idea. They probably do now, but it's probably really, really good, an important topic now.
Sure. I think when Hannah Gadsby came out as autistic, it was incredible. And I think when Greta Thunberg came out, Grace Tame and so on, all these women with autism, it's like, Stephanie Preisner, a journalist in Ireland as well. It's like, oh, wow, these are everyday people just like us, but just have this different brain wiring. I know before I met my partner, I had really no idea what it was. And to be perfectly honest with you, was a little bit scared of it. Didn't know if it was a mental health issue or a disorder, but it's not at all.
No. And so why do you think, I'm curious now, why do you think there's been more studies on men and boys than women?
Well, great question. I think that's, historically speaking, again, I'm not a scientist or a psychologist in this area, but I think a lot of studies have been on men and boys. Back in 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, my understanding is that most of the researchers were male, and they would have studied male cohorts in their work. I don't know the exact answer to that question, but I do know that they decided that autism had certain symptoms like lack of eye contact, social awkwardness, real difficulty with communication. You still see a lot of kind of the stereotypical male autistic characters in TV shows such as like The Big Bang and so on. But in women and girls, as it's emerged that they too are autistic, there's the preferred terminology, by the way, than having autism, as if it's some kind of disease. Not for everyone, I've learned, but for a lot of folks saying I am autistic, like saying I'm gay or I'm Irish or I'm Australian or whatever. It's an identity thing. And side note, as it's emerged that women and girls have it, they're realizing that they don't necessarily have problems with eye contact or struggle with communication because they're socialized in a very different way. They're encouraged. Girls in general are encouraged to mask their feelings, always smile, pretend everything's fine, and go forward. And so autism is hidden in a lot of women, for example, who have had their children diagnosed with autism, realize over the course of being diagnosed they too are autistic. They start realizing they too have experienced the world in a similar way. So it's really, really interesting.
Yeah, it sounds fascinating. Can't wait to hear more about it when it's more official and out there. Right.
Nice.
Oh, it's so good to talk to you. Thank you.
Oh, you too. Absolute pleasure. I think what you're doing is amazing, you guys. I think it's brilliant. Diversity and inclusion is such an important movement, I think, to be a part of now.
Yeah, exactly.
All the world we live in. Yeah.
So before you go, what are you going to do for the rest of the day?
Well, look, I'm probably going to look at myself in the mirror here and do my hair. We have my partner Jan's auntie staying with us, so we're probably going to head out and to a lovely cafe, go for a walk along by the sea and that kind of stuff. Yeah,
beautiful.
The puppy here, the puppy will come with us.
Oh, my puppy's behaving because often can you see him? He's in his bed.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, he's often barking during these things at the most inappropriate time, but he's been really good. He's asleep.
Chill.
Right. Oh, he's chilled.
Thanks so much. little
Yeah.
doggy.
Thanks. So thanks for joining us. Thank you so much, Sinead. It's a pleasure speaking to you.
You too.
Wonderful to meet you. Honestly.
Yeah, you too. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. All right, we'll let you go then. Have a
All
great
right.
day. See you later.
ya.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Wow, that was so cool.
That was very cool. Wow. You know what?
What?
When she was talking about the whole beliefs thing, I just realized I've never asked myself that either. Like, you know, what are my beliefs? It's amazing that she's thought about it and she understands it and she's worked on stuff that she's identified that is holding her back. Because I think a lot of us don't do that at all. You know, we just through life.
Well, that's I mean what she did mention, she's had therapy, and that's what I would say has helped her.
Yes.
Obviously, me being a coach, that's exactly what I do with my clients. I work on revealing what their beliefs are and how to rewire that with a host of techniques that I use with them, because I'll also say this is a saying, I don't know if you've ever heard it, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Sounds absolutely terrible. I don't know where it comes from. Maybe somebody could share that. There's more than one way to skin a cat. So whether you go into therapy, whether you see a psychologist, whether you do so many therapies out there. Of course, I'm going to plug coaching, life coaching, because that's exactly what it's about. That's exactly what it's for. That's how we get people to turn around their thoughts and attitudes, because that's what's required to get what they don't have. So if they come to me because they want to be even better in their career, or if they come to me because they want to find romantic love, or if they come to me because they want to find their purpose and they're not happy in their role, if they come to me just because they just don't feel happy, then there's something going on, beliefs, something going on that we need to reveal and reprogram. And that's essentially what I do with coaching and my clients. So to me, if somebody's had any type of therapy or coaching, then they're definitely probably going to be people that actually think about those things, because it kind of sets you up to be more aware of those things moving forward. And so you're able to observe yourself more than you would normally. And what do I mean by that? So you could be typically going through life and just feeling things and not really understanding why.
Yeah.
And just going through the motions, letting life happen to you. And that's, I think, how a lot of people go through their lives. Yes. And then if you seek out help to grow, and what I mean by grow is, grow emotionally, not just cognitively, but emotionally, because they're all linked. They're not independent things. Then hopefully you develop a skill to be able to observe yourself more, almost like you were standing outside of yourself, looking, going, hearing that voice, noticing how it's making you feel, so you can observe it. And then, like Sinead said, it's important, I don't know where she's learned that, or if she just feels that, to acknowledge it, take notice of it, not just try and suppress it, because that never works. Never works. Always makes me laugh when people go, just push it down, especially when you kind of socialize to not show emotion.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting that she said women are kind of trained not to show emotion. They feel it, because how often do you get women being told they're too emotional?
Yeah.
But to put them brave face on, smile, whatever's going on. But men as well.
Yeah. Well, I think women are given permission to feel certain emotions, right? You can cry all you want, because that's what true. Women do. That's okay. You can cry, but you can't always get angry, because angry women are not a thing. It's not feminine. Yeah, it's not feminine. You're a shrew then, Yeah. So feel, sad and whatever, that's fine. Then you're whoever can comfort you, and then you can feel better. But yeah, so, and obviously men are told a different thing, that their anger is okay, but them feeling vulnerable and sad aren't. And
Exactly.
so yeah, it's a twisted little thing.
It is. And I would, just go on to say that example she gave when she'd experienced bias about, the guy, the cinematographer, I think he was, calling her bossy. When I would say she was angry because he completely disregarded what they'd agreed to do.
Yeah.
And so she was angry, but because she's a woman, she's bossy.
Yeah.
And I would just be angry. Seriously.
Yeah. She did well, because it's hard not to react to that word in itself. It's like when somebody calls a woman hysterical, like there are certain words that have like other meanings.
And you don't get men being called hysterical.
Exactly.
For showing the same behavior. And you don't get men being called bossy.
Yeah, exactly.
For showing the same behavior. So it does go to show the double standard that exists. And you know what? We're actually running out of time, but I really, really, really want to do that story before we go.
Cool. Yes. Okay. Right. We do have a story from ABC News. It's called Daylesford. Daylesford is the future home of the big rainbow, a joyous symbol of the LGBTIQA plus inclusion. So the Western Victoria town of Daylesford will soon be the home of Australia's first big icon that celebrates the LGBTQA plus pride in a regional location. So about 16,000 votes were cast, with Daylesford triumphing over 3 other shortlisted towns, which was Broome in Western Australia, Hay in New South Wales, and Katherine in Northern Territory. Mayor of Hepburn Shire Council, Tim Dryley, described Daylesford's victory in securing the symbol as a fantastic opportunity for the town to continue its history of celebrating diversity. The rainbow icon is a beacon for inclusion, he said. Its joyous symbol we all associate with hope. The vibrant landmark, which is sponsored by a major dating app, measures 12 meters wide and 6 meters tall. It's made its debut in Sydney earlier this year to mark the start of the search for its future home. Since 1997, the town has played host to the Chill Out Festival, which I actually hadn't heard of.
I haven't heard of that.
Which is regional Australia's biggest country queen pride event. In March, the council appointed its first LGBTQA plus committee, which is amazing. Dryley encouraged other rural and regional communities to also platform progressive inclusive voices. Everyone benefits. It lifts people up. They feel more involved in their community, are more likely to get involved, he said. There are lots of reasons to be supporting those sorts of initiatives.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So maybe explain, is it called the Big Rainbow?
It is the Big Rainbow. So it has obviously the rainbow. There's 2, it looks like anchors at the sides, which look like rocks.
Okay. Because why is that even a big deal? Well, one, it's a big rainbow, represents the LGBTQI.
Yes.
I plus. That's why. Sorry?
There is an I in there. LGBTIQA plus.
IQA plus.
Yes.
So that's why we're obviously talking about it. But in Australia, I don't know if they do this anywhere else in the world, there's this whole concept that when you're on the road trip, you visit the big things. So we have the big banana,
the big prawn, big sheep.
Is there a big sheep?
There is a giant big sheep.
Oh, I don't know where that is. I don't know what all the big things are, but there's a lot of big things.
Yes.
And I've visited the big banana and I've visited the big prawn. When I've been doing road trips up to Queensland and all over. So it's just kind of like a little thing to do, stopping on your way and getting a photograph with these the giant prawn or a giant banana, essentially.
And the big guitar.
Is there a big guitar?
Yeah,
Where's that?
Tamworth. because that's
the music
festival. Yeah,
festival
exactly.
things.
It's pretty cool.
Oh no, I didn't know there's a big guitar. So there's so many big things, and the fact that now we've got a big rainbow and what that represents, I think it's beautiful. I just no idea where that place is, or if I'll ever be doing a road trip there. Where is it?
Yeah, I'm not really
It says it's in Victoria.
Yeah, Western Victoria. So we'll have to find it because obviously it's
I'm just like Western, maybe maybe it's like on the way if you were driving down, if you were going to do a crazy drive like to the Adelaide or something, you might
exactly.
drive past through there just to see the big rainbow, get a picture.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's very cool. I'm just trying to figure out. So I have, it's definitely county is Hepburn, but yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look too far from Melbourne, but that's, me saying it because I feel like Australians don't really have a good concept of
how far places are.
Yes, because everything is so far. So, oh no, it's very close to Melbourne. It's
all
like
right.
an hour and a half.
All right, so you could go from Melbourne then. You could go on the way to Melbourne, detour to the big rainbow.
Yeah,
good to know. Might do that at some point. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Not too far from Bendigo and Ballarat as well. So
Bendigo and Ballarat. Okay, the big rainbow. Definitely want to get a picture near that. Awesome.
Yeah.
What a wonderful story.
Yes, definitely.
Everybody go and see Big Rainbow. Take pictures. Send them in.
And everybody go see the what was it, Love Experiment.
Oh, the Love Experiment. It's on Templay right now as a pilot still.
Exactly.
But yeah, I just can't wait to see what she comes up with next. I really found that interesting. Her next project.
Yeah. I find creative people in general quite inspiring, but to take something that was, very terrible that happened to you and then turn it into like a completely different career and be so positive and create so much stuff like content and whatever. Fantastic.
But we're all creative. I just sort of finished this. We're all creative.
Yes.
We are. We're all creative. Every single person can create. It just means creating something, and it might be problem solving is being creative. So everybody's creative. You're creative as well. It annoys me when people say it when what they mean is they have a specific art skill.
Right.
It's not unique to having an art skill being creative, like an artist, photographer, or whatever.
Yeah.
Because obviously they do create things, so obviously. But everyone is and the reason why I get annoyed is because I also hear people saying I'm not creative, which is not true.
Yeah.
Because everybody.
How I would describe myself, I think because you grow up thinking creative is an artist, and that's what it is. So everybody else who doesn't do that isn't an artist or a musician or a writer.
But then it's limiting because then you keep telling yourself you're not creative, then you don't attempt to be, if you know what I mean.
So that's one of the beliefs.
So that's a belief. That is a limiting belief. Exactly. Right there. Yeah. It's a limiting belief right there. All right, we better go. We've been like an hour.
Yes.
It's gonna be long. But I think it's such a great episode. So great to have Sinead on. Who was our guest speaker, Meenal?
It was Sinead.
Yeah.
I love meeting her. I remember the name. But anyway.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right then. We'll speak soon.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.